everyone, I am Jimena Murillo and today I'm presenting dengue fever. Also called breakbone fever, it's a mosquito-borne viral disease found in tropical and semi-tropical areas worldwide. About the virus, the causative agent of the disease is a dengue virus, D and V. There are 4 serotypes to the virus, D and V 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the left, we can see a picture of the virus itself with a capsid protein, other structural proteins, and a glycoprotein envelope. On the right, some classification. It's a positive strand RNA virus from the family Flaviviridae, genus Flavivirus, class Plasmaviridae. The incubation period of the virus is 3 to 14 days after the bite from an infected female mosquito. The mode of transmission is an infected female mosquito from the species Aedes aegypti or Aedes albopictus. Dengue cannot be spread directly from one person to another, as we can see on the picture. Mosquito must be infected and infect a healthy person. A little bit of the life cycle. Virus attaches and enters the cell by receptor-mediated endocytosis. Viral fusion and disassembly happens in the endosomes, and this is induced by the low pH of the endosomes. Protein translation happens in the cytoplasm, RNA replication on the membranes. The immature virus assembles and buds into the ER, and the ER is responsible for the host-derived lipid envelope. The virus moves to the Golgi apparatus, where it depends on the pH environment to mature, and once it matures, it is released. The parts of the body affected are lymph nodes and bone marrow, and the cells affected are monocytes and macrophages. Signs and symptoms of the disease. 1 out of 4 infected people actually show symptoms. Most people are asymptomatic. 1 out of 20 infected people can develop severe dengue. There are 3 phases to the disease. Febrile phase, which can cause acute flu-like symptoms and can many times go unnoticed. It's often linked with travelers, and its characteristics are a fever of 104 degrees and 2 of these other signs listed, like headache, pain behind the eyes, mouth and nose bleeding, muscle and joint pain, vomiting, diarrhea, or rash. The critical phase is 3 to 7 days after illness is onset. The fever drops below 100 degrees, and this is potentially lethal. The critical phase is characterized by hypotension, pleural effusion, gastrointestinal bleeding, and fluid buildup in the abdomen, ascites. The recovery phase usually takes 2 to 7 days, and this is characterized by seizures, altered mind, slow heart rate, and itching. The diagnosis of this disease is usually reverse transcriptase PCR or ELISA assay. The endemic of the disease. About 50% of the world's population lives in areas with risk of dengue, as we can see in this map. Most of these tropical and semi-tropical areas are affected by dengue. The World Health Organization estimates that 100 to 400 million people are infected with dengue each year. Here we can see a graph of numbers going up. This was in Brazil. And I grew up in Costa Rica, and that would be right here, and that was one of the biggest concerns for my family always. Treatment and prevention. There is no specific treatment for dengue. People often use fever reducers and painkillers to control some of the symptoms. These include acetaminophen and paracetamol. Rest and drinking plenty of fluid is very essential. Electrolytes also. And severe dengue requires hospitalization. This decreases the mortality rate from 20% to less than 1%. Now, prevention, like I said, I grew up in Costa Rica, and this was a really big worry for many of my family members, and they always sent us to remove stagnant water from any bins. They never let us leave empty containers outside, just in case that it would rain and it could collect water. That water could always serve as an environment for the mosquitoes to leave their larvae and their eggs. So this was the main one, and again, that's vector control. Also avoiding outdoors in dawn and dusk, wearing protective clothes, so long sleeves, using mosquito repellent, staying indoors, and using window screens and mesh nets if you're sleeping in a place where there's a lot of mosquitoes. Also, there is now a vaccine, Dengue, which targets people living in endemic countries ages 9 to 45 years old. And the works cited is also linked.